Testing, testing. Hello, hello. Testing. In Laguna Seca, this is going to be round 7 of the LMP2 championship, and going to be not so much on the line here, and I don't know why did I bother just commentating anyway, because, you know, why the hell not, but tonight's going to be, yeah, a different one. So, going to be only 5 players in play, sorry, 4 drivers, excluding myself, because I am not going to be taking part of this race for the sake of, yeah, for the sake of consistency. But so it's going to be, yeah, just Piddle and Mark Webber not setting their times yet so far. Matosti is out on track trying to set a benchmark time, and Hoffman Cruz on his way to set his. Depending if this time's going to be validated, I was backed out of it. And after what we've seen last week with a stellar win from Immortalis, and then is unfortunately not going to be taking part this week, and only going to be part-time, as we've seen a very dominant win from him in Road America with a very efficient fuel-saving tactic. But it seems that I have turned on pit stop errors on. I didn't notice that, but I hope it happens to none of these drivers. As you see, Mark Webber in the green car, making his way on the hot lap with Hoffman just slightly in the way, or maybe he's still on the warm-up lap, as he's going ever so slightly slowly. And no one set a time yet. Only already 4 minutes 30 into the qualifying session. Gonna be a lot of time for these guys to set themselves up, maybe even make a few setup changes. Mark Webber, as far as I've known, who's had the most practice for this race, and also a driver for the V8 supercars. And no, sorry, he's not a driver in the V8 supercar, so I apologize for that. But yeah, he's had a race in the IndyCars, which he won in Watkins Glen in his first outing, which is very impressive, as Mark Webber sets a 43.9 and Hoffman Cruz sets a 41. Matosi sets a 24.5. These guys were were just on their warm-up laps, so Matosi set a benchmark time, and just Biddlin yet to do that so far. As he comes across the line, it is a second and 8/10 off. So far Toasty is the man to beat. Let's see, and McToasty has a 1-place grid penalty. That is most likely from exceeding the pit exit more than 3 times. So that is toasty. No matter if he gets pole, he gets set back a place lower than what he intends to start with. So very unfortunate for Matosi. If things pan out as it stands right now, Just Piddlin will be on pole position. But let's see if these guys will have anything to do about it. Only 4 drivers, so all to play for. It's gonna be the most the least active race, or yeah, the most empty race we've had in Flux history so far. So Mark Webber now best Just Piddlin with a time that's 5/10 off. So right now he's on the verge to set for pole, depending on who's gonna settle for second place, and Just Piddlin just is goes off there. So that's it for his qualifying run at this stage. Hoffman crew is still trying to set himself up for a proper lap, and it looks like he doesn't have the car underneath him at the moment. Nice livery on the I don't know what that car is, but it's definitely not a Ligier Nissan. It's probably a Merrick. But yeah, those cars have very nice liveries. Hoffman crew, a debutant on the LMP2 championship. Let's get on board with him and see what's how are things going in his perspective. So this car is definitely not America. I am wrong. It's maybe an RWD. I'm not sure, but the car is not a paddle shift compared to the others, or maybe it is. I don't know. But from what I remember, the LMP2 car from the last game had a sequential stick. As the Ligier Nissan here is definitely the car to beat. You know, so far not much else to talk about, but we've had a more full race than this just an hour ago in the GTEs, with 12 drivers starting and 11 finished. And we've seen Bruce Law finishing that race in the top step, which Bruce Law is a multiple league champion in Flux, from GT3s, LMP2s, you name it. He's done it all, and he's won them all. But he's not here. We're focusing on the 3 potential winners for this race: Matosi, Mark Webber, and Just Piddlin, who are all 3 calibers of their own. And right now, almost 10 minutes 30 left to run. Matosi pretty much sets the time that everyone else will have to beat, but he doesn't. Everyone else doesn't need to, as it's gonna be just a battle for second place in qualifying, with Matosi with that grid penalty. And says in the info feed in the bottom right hand side, Matosi has a grid place penalty for pit lane violation. That may be for speeding in the pits, or speeding into the pits, or exceeding the white line on the pit exit more than 3 times, or more than twice actually. Let's take a look at standings so far and how it's gonna pan out. Mark Webber in the lead, Muttley second on the grid, but it doesn't look like he's gonna take part. And Matosi in 18 points behind, just 1 point behind Muttley, which will definitely jump him into second. And Just Piddlin only 2 points behind, only 1 point behind Matosi, sorry, and 19 points behind Mark Webber. So this is all to play for everyone. But I doubt that if Mark Webber finishes last, it won't have a buffer in his championship position. just depending on who's got pole and fastest lap, which right now it's definitely going to be second place who's going to get pole with Matosi with that grid penalty. And that's going to be Mark Webber down in the pits finishing his run for at this time, and just Pillin trying to get by Hoffman Cruz, trying to set his lap, and he pushes him off. That's going to be Maris for his next lap, which hopefully isn't going to be invalidated. 4 liters left in the tank. It's going to be very close. So he's going to have the lightest fuel to load as Matosi's coming by behind him. And I don't know if that's going to be... Ooh, and he manages to hold him up. And just Pillin seems to be rolling. I don't know if he's paused or his wheel has stopped working. These guys are going to set the times that they're going to have to beat, but looks as though like they're not gonna get any faster than this, I reckon. So, yeah, not much to talk about here. I keep saying that, but I think the interesting part will be towards the end of the race, where these guys are going to be setting their potentially fastest laps as the track rubber buildup is at its peak, as everyone else has rubbered the track towards the end of the race, at end of the quality session. Sorry, but the track will get more grippier and grippier as the race progresses, but it won't change as the speed as the tires will start to degrade more and more. It'll be interesting to see how these guys will play this out. Will it be an actual stop for tires? We've seen it time and time again that these guys haven't stopped for tires, except if they have to or have nothing else to lose. But so far this season, it's been fuel conservation, which you've seen from Immortalis, as he's been holding the clutch hundreds of meters for the entry of each corner, which is a very aspiring way to save fuel, but it worked. He got it to the end of the race, and it's interesting for this track because it's not very wide, or there's pretty much like not much straight after each corner. As Mark Webber sets a time that's just 0.3 off, so he's on the verge to get to push McToasty down in second, which will push him down to third. And McToasty best that time just a little bit with a 113.2, and Mark Webber on the same second, 113.6, only nearly 0.4 off, but just Pidlin seeming not to be besting that time. But he's going to be in it for race pace because he's still in this championship. All he has to do is beat McToasty, and hopefully Mark Webber has some sort of incident. But you know, it's whoever who's gonna win here. It's only 4 drivers on play, and Hoffman Crew looks like he also has a grid penalty. That's also for pit lane violation, I imagine. You have to stay between the white lines on that pit exit and really decelerate a lot, as there you go, it's a very narrow track, and there you go, he exceeds it once again, and he goes off the track. And if the game sees you putting all four wheels off that white line, then you're in trouble. Gives you two penalties, two warnings, sorry, until it gives you a grid penalty position. So Hoffman Crew, ooh, he clips it into the tire barrier. So this is Mark Webber on his hot lap. Let's see if he can best this time. Carrying a lot of speed through there, very cambered right hand corner, but almost 90 degrees. Let's have an onboard lap of him if he does another one. So on to the front stretch. So that's gonna be 2/10 off. He's gonna set another one. He's gonna brake on the 3 sign. Actually later into that, and he turns in second gear. Short switch to first if you have to, but he doesn't do that, and keep it in third, brake, and switch it to second. Maybe a slight lift through here, but let's see if he keeps it flat. Just a slight lift, there you go. Just keeps it in into the corners of the track, losing a bit of time there, less than a tenth, but he's still on it. Third gear, use the camber on the outside to carry the car, the speed of the car all the way around. And very tricky corner here, you have to cut the sand to get the best possible line, and he doesn't do that, he goes wide, and he outbrakes himself there. Let's see if he's on the versus at another fastest time. Shame that I didn't get that on his fastest lap, but Toasty out of the pits. He's on full tank, so this is gonna be his race run, his race run practice. As he goes off the white line once again, let's see if that's gonna be any penalty. No, not yet so far. It looks as though the drivers having trouble exiting the pits. I don't know if Matosi is braking too late for that corner in the pit exit, but you know, it is what it is. All Just Spidlin has to do or hope for is Mark Webber sets a faster time, and Mark Webber shuts off the engine by using the clutch, and that is a very sophisticated way on how to save fuel. That's what I was talking about in the last race that we did in Road America, and Mortalis, the leader, using a clutch to not use the engine at all, because even if you lift off the throttle, the car is still using the engine to slow the car down. And at this point, if you're using a clutch, you're just using the weight of the car to slow the car down fully. He's using the clutch here because it's downhill. Let the car roll over. Or maybe you put the car in lower gear so it uses less, so it consumes more fuel. Let's see if Mark Webber has enough fuel to make it to the end of this lap. He's got the lightest car at the moment, 2 liters left to run. So let's see again. Looking for that 3 mark. That is your braking point. Brake much more later than that. It's in his hot lap after all. Double apex corner, and try not to run too wide to the right hand side to the sand. And second gear, keep it in, back on the throttle once again. Keep the left hand side and slight lift through. Here, not nearly flat, but you could carry very much a lot of speed. And down 2 gears through here. Use the camber on the outside to carry the car all the way through. Likes the understeer towards push you wide to the end of that corner. He clips that corner very nicely and sets him up for a nice line through the corkscrew. Very wild roller coaster through here, and it's qualifying complete. So this will be Mark Webber's final lap, hoping he beats it. He beats McSosi to it, but no matter what, he's gonna get on pole. And 90 degree cambered right hand corner here, gets it between the white lines, very good. He's gonna get onto second gear, maybe first if he has to, and he goes off to the green stuff. Hopefully that's not an invalidation, and he doesn't best it, so that's gonna be pole position for Mark Webber regardless. So that's gonna be our running order. So McToasty is still going to be your pole sitter, but Mark Webber's going to shoot up to first, and just piddling up to third. He didn't get what he wanted, short of Mark Webber setting that pole time, and Huffman crew couldn't set a proper lap. 21.7 behind 2 grid penalty places, but this will still set him up nicely for the actual race, as there are only 3 guys in front of him. So let's get underway for this one. So there's gonna be a formation lap, and yeah, a rolling start. It's gonna be a single file start, as these guys know it. Gonna be a very very awkward race here, kind of like the one in Indianapolis in 2005 in the Formula 1 Championship, where I think only 5 cars took part, and we're seeing that right now. But it's gonna be very interesting to see how these guys will attack the start. Hopefully not too aggressive. So Mark Webber is going to be your pole sitter, who's 2/10 short of McToasey's fastest lap. But McToasey is probably going to be setting Mark up, because he probably knows he's got a pace, or maybe Mark has something up his sleeve for his race pace. Just Pidlin is 2 seconds off, but you know, he's still got all to play for it. All he has to do is keep it between the white lines, on the gray stuff. So it's going to be your formation lap here. Giving a slow lap for the entire course, just for the guys to warm up their brakes, their tires, their engines. So I imagine these guys are going to be grabbing their setups from Long Beach, as the track has more or less similar characteristics, but you know, Long Beach is very bumpy, while this one has while in itself is short, but it's not as bumpy, as it's not on a street circuit. It's on an actual racetrack, as the tarmac is very smooth. And Mark Webber has to be very careful not to exceed 75 miles an hour, as it'll give you a 20-second penalty once the race starts. The driver's now approaching the corkscrew. Let's see what sort of tire warming methods these guys have. Only weaving from left to right to try to warm up the carcass of the tire, but considering the speed you're going, only less than 50-60 miles an hour, it's not looking likely. So all you have, best you can do is warm the car up with the brakes, and try to warm them up as much as you can, but not too much, as if you've overheated the brakes before the race start, then that's going to be a very big lockup for you into turn 1, and that's not what you want. So these guys are now setting up. Ooh, looks like Hoffman nearly went into the back of Just Piddle. Hopefully not, as that's going to give him a 5-second penalty if he does that towards the start. So, going to be... And it's lights out for round 7 of the LMP2 Championship. It's going to be a very even start for everyone. It's Just Piddle and McToasey getting very close to each other. No one gets a dive over inside, but Just Piddle takes a look down the inside. He gets alongside McToasey. Does he make the move? They're side by side. Let's see if McToasey still got the inside, and McToasey defends the position. So no change in the running order so far. Huffman lagging close, far behind the leaders, and Mark Webber has a very stable lead coming into lap 1 already. So the battle for second place is going to be between these two guys, as they're still getting very close to each other. Toasty kicking up lots of sand there, hopefully to try to distract Just Piddlin from getting past. into the corkscrew now. This is only lap 1, and so far this is the only action we've got, so stick around. Hopefully these guys are gonna get close to each other towards the end of the race. But in their minds, hopefully not. So we're ending lap 1 now. Mark Webber in the lead, Matossi in second, just piddling in third, Hoffman in fourth. So no change in position so far, as these guys are, regardless of where they finish, these guys are on their way to collect some very good points for the championship. But the main contenders now, the top 3, Mark Webber, Matossi, just piddling. These guys are set to try to get ahead of each other, because Mark Webber is in the lead of the championship, in a slightly comfortable lead. Just if things stay where they are now, Mark Webber is gonna have a bigger lead, gonna gap more, probably 20 more points, or probably like 21 points, or sub 19, who knows. But this is gonna extend his advantage in the championship, but this is not over until the last round. And actually, I didn't see that, but just Pillin gets past Matossi. I don't know if you overtook him, but that's gonna be him in second place. Toasty finished an hour ago in the GTEs in third position with a good run from him. He gained up 4 positions at the start, or at the start stages of the race of the GTEs, and he got the car home and back up into third place. So good run from him in the GTEs. He's a very solid driver, and same with Just Pidlin, who's a very fast driver. He's got some speed. And Mark Webber, the Australian, up in the lead. Rookie driver this season in the IndyCars as well as LMP2s. He's running full time, but he won an IndyCar race in part time, so that makes him all the more impressive. Chespelin gained 2/10 that lap, and Mark Webber gained that time back again, but it's still toe-to-toe with these guys towards the gaps. But Tosi will be looking to get that place back to Just Pidlin. Hopefully they don't lose too much time in the efforts of trying to catch Mark Webber for the lead. Only 41 minutes left to go and running, and Tosi nearly had enough there. Tank slapper, as we call it, as the rear suddenly goes out when you don't want it to. So I imagine this is going to be a nightmare race for the drivers as Hoffman crew goes to the pits potentially for damage. See what he does. Doesn't look like it's going to be for tires, so that's going to be for damage for sure. And Mark Webber starts a gap, Just Pidlin now 3 seconds back. And Matosi seems to potentially have a penalty here. He's got an exclamation point, and look at your top left hand side. If he doesn't clear that slowdown penalty, he'll definitely be in trouble. He's gonna have to push more than he has to. Hoffman crew leaving the pits now. Is gonna be a back marker here as they the top 2 guys get past before he exits the pits. These 2 will have to work together somehow, but I don't see how you can do that in these cars. Very lovely day here in Laguna Seca. Medium cloud, just the forecast tells us. And not much change in wind direction as the wind. Oh, you see, there's Pillin lifting the inside, the right hand side wheel and the corkscrew, and that's what tends to happen every time we go through there and the downhill. And he manages to get back up to Mark Webber. I don't know if he has some sort of problem or is trying to fuel save, but the gap is decreasing now, and it's rapidly decreasing. It's 3 seconds last lap, and now it's down to less than 2 seconds. Let's see if Mark Webber has some sort of methods in fuel saving at the moment. No, it doesn't look like he's fuel saving. Or he is. He set the fuel mix up to lean. I'm betting. And Just Piddling is on full power, on full mix, so he's gonna use this to his advantage and hopefully try to catch up. Tosi falling back behind with the dirty air that he's catching from Just Piddling. Hopefully this is gonna be a race of attrition from all of these guys. If gonna look at the clock, if the fuel starts to reach, I keep mentioning this, the fuel starts to reach halfway, which 75 liters is his peak capacity. We're looking around 32.5 liters. If they reach 32.5, less than halfway, then it tells you that these guys are. It's gonna be a fuel-saving game from these guys. As Tosi lifts and coasts there in that corner, and he's catching up. But hopefully he's not pushing too much, as that tends to be very bad when you're driving the LMP2 cars. It drives on its toes, and it doesn't feel very nice. So it's green versus red versus white and blue, and I don't know what to tell you. This is the gap so far, and these guys are not too far from each other, which is good. And hopefully they're gonna get closer to this. As I've said before, these cars are not meant for racing door to door, side by side. So they're gonna have to try to manage that. Working lap 8 now. Mark Webber goes across the line. 36 minutes left to run. And I think just Mark Webber is setting the fuel mix back up to rich. Let's see if he does. Just Piddling, the only driver without the use of traction. Actually, he has traction control. So everyone with the traction control setting, which in real life these cars do have, only up to the driver if that helps him go faster or not. So Mark Webber shoots the gap up back to 2 seconds, so that tells me he's done saving the fuel. Looks as though he doesn't need to. And hello everyone watching. If you're still here and you're interested in what we do, head over to fluxmotorsport.com. That is where we do all of our stuff, and this is going to be the final few races towards the end of the championship. Going to be the penultimate round for all of the championships. So yeah, make sure you stay tuned. Subscribe to our official channel, which is in Flux Motorsport in YouTube. Literally search that up. That's the first thing that pops up. It's going to be our YouTube channel. So as things start to settle here, and not much is happening right now, let me run through you to all the championship calendars. So if you're interested, hopefully, you know, if things don't change for next season, and we have in Wednesdays we have Formula Renault, which is hosted by Spankmeyer, and Thursdays we have a touring car championship hosted by Alexin. Friday is the IndyCar championship with the American Tour hosted by Carlin Hicks. Saturday, which is what's happening right now. First up is the GTEs, which happened in 7 p.m. EST, which is a few hours ago, and LMP2s, which is happening right now. All hosted by Carlin Hicks in the American Tour, and Sundays, depending on where you are in the world, it's the V8 Supercars hosted by Mark, the Australian, and that's going to be the Australian Tour. So for Wednesday, it's going to be 8 p.m. UK. Thursday, also 8 p.m. UK. Friday, 8 p.m. EST American time. And GTEs, it's 7 p.m. American time. And LMP2s around 9 o'clock p.m. EST. So going to be potential for special events towards the end of the season or after the end of the season, as these guys will have to settle down, calm themselves down, and prepare mentally, physically, and yeah, just driver-wise for the next season, as Mark Webber's coming up to lap Hoffman Crew, who's in the lap car 2 minutes behind. Oh, he's spin there nearly. Mark Webber nearly collects him, but that didn't look to be the case. He stopped on track. Doesn't seem to hit anyone, and that's good. So commiserations for him to sticking around for the entirety of the race. Still 31 minutes left to run. It's gonna be a long race for everyone here, and for me as well, as nothing is happening right now other than these guys trying to keep it consistent on the lead lap, trying to stay within each other. So still out to play for here. But as we've seen with the rest of these races, the top three don't look to be catching each other nearly most of the time. They just stay the way they are. So the gap is just decreasing and increasing every lap. That leads me to tell that these two drivers are faster in some sectors than others, and just Pidlin is gaining some time in the first sector, while Mark Webber gains more of it up in the corkscrew. And I didn't mention that we also have a Dirt Rally 2.0 championship, so if you're interested in that, also head to our website. If you're interested in any of our championships, actually, head to our official website, which is in fluxmotorsport.com. First thing that comes up literally is our website. So click that, and you can also head to our Discord, which is where we mainly communicate. We communicate nowhere else, so that's where you'll get all of our communications to where the race will start, when you'll get invited, and maybe some open public lobbies that these guys will host. So a very well dedicated community to racing and cars in general. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure to check us out, because we're more than welcome to have you. So I'm gonna have go for a quick water break because I'm very dehydrated. So we are back. Looking at that gap now, it's just under 2 seconds again. It was 3 seconds last lap. The gap between these two guys is just increasing, and just not being very consistent. And he's gaining and losing time, and Mark Webber's also doing that as well, gaining and losing time. But Matosi's fallen back behind. He's already more than 8 seconds clear behind Just Pillin, and Mark Webber seems to be having a potential fight of their own. Hopefully that happens. Gonna have a screamer when that happens, if they're running side by side. Hopefully not contact, but that will be music to the ears of Matosi. I know Just Pillin kicks a lot of that grass there. He's already less than a second behind him. This is gonna be a move next lap, hopefully. Maybe not. Oh, he's already that close behind. 3/10, 4/10 behind. So let's look and where the stands onto the main straight. Just Pidlin's on the slipstream, gonna have the extra top speed depending on what the setting of the downforce these guys have. But I don't know if Hoffman's crew is in the main straight. I don't know if this will be a deciding factor. But they're braking for the main straight. Hoffman moves out of the way, and not gonna be a move for first place on this lap. But let's look at the penalties. None issued penalties so far. But Just Pidlin will fall behind because of that dirty air that Mark Webber's giving him. So that was a bit of a screamer there, as he managed to decrease that gap ever so suddenly. And I don't know if he can do it again after this corkscrew, but because that's where he did it. Let's see if he can gain more time through there. No, the gap stays the same. But he's still in striking distance, less than 2 seconds. Despite the fuel saving efforts, these guys are on the same amount of fuel. So Just Pillin definitely have more straight line advantage. Gonna have a fight of his life now, trying to fight the car from the dirty air that Mark Webber's giving him because of that push that wants to push you off the line, and trying to manage the throttle, trying to accelerate as late as you can, but not too late where you'll lose speed and time, but just enough that the car stays between the white lines. See if you can gain more time here. First gear and a corkscrew. One wheel lifting off. It seems as though he kept the car flat, and that is body damage. I don't know who's that. That is Hoffman crew. Hopefully he doesn't hit any car passing by. And he's really... Oh, that is close. That was close. But they got by safely, and Hoffman crew is definitely gonna have to pit for that. And he misses the pit entry, so he's gonna have to do another lap with that damage. And hopefully Matosi spins as I say that. But he's still on the lead lap, so that's gonna be disastrous for him. He's still on the podium. But since Mudley isn't here, who's second in the standings, that's gonna boost him up into second still, or maybe third, because they're 1 point ahead of each other. So it's gone back down to less than 3 seconds now. This is the gaps. Like, I'm just keeping an eye on the gaps because that's where the race actually is so far. Like, that's where most of the action was. So it's been decreasing and increasing, and I don't know which of the two is more, but we're not even halfway. So, and by saying that, these guys are definitely gonna have to push towards the end of the race because yeah, it looks as though they're safe from fuel depletion. The gap again is decreased again. Like, this is the thing. I think just Pillion has never been this close in the entirety of the race. But is he gonna set up a move? But Mark Webber seems to be gapping him every time he does. So a bit of inconsistency, but I think these are the elements of the race, and they're gonna have to deal with it. And he's tucked into the slipstream. Doesn't he seem to be close enough to make a move through here, but he's gonna have a chance to get closer. But with the dirty air, it doesn't seem to be likely, given there's lots of high-speed sections that'll catch some drivers out. With the angle of the corner, some are off camber, which is even worse. So all he has to do is keep that gap less than 1 second and really decrease that gap where he's gaining it. It seems to be on the top of the corkscrew or on the bottom of it. And he's decreasing that gap still. He's gonna have hard time following through there, as he had to lift more and brake earlier. And Hoffman Crew is stranded for the corkscrew. That's a dangerous place to be in. It's a very blind spot when you're entering the corkscrew. He still got that thing going. Doesn't look to be his pitting. But the info on the right, top right hand side is wrong. They're all on the soft tire, because there's no way you can set a lap on these cars on the hards. So he is decreasing that gap consistently this time. It's hello, whoever just joined. Hopefully you're having a good time here, despite it not having much action at all. Power steering is gone on for Hoffman Crew. It says he tells us on the chat while he's still on the race. He still kept that thing going. I don't know if he's playing the stream while he's racing, which is a very dangerous thing to do. But either way, he's still on the race. He's not pitting once again. The pit entry is right there, and he's spun it onto the back straight. That's a very dangerous place to be once again, as long as you keep it to the left-hand side. And the gap between these two has increased slightly. And that was a dangerous place to be, as he keeps it out of the way. That's a very scary spot there between the top two. But good thing they got out of that safely. But still a potential battle between these two. They've only been close when they're behind each other, not side by side so far. But that's what I'm looking forward to, but not what Mark Webber's looking forward to. Is he keeps gapping him every time he gets close. I don't know if he's saving tires, and that's how just Pidlin's able to get close, as I imagine he's pushing every lap. And sometimes he's setting a 17, and now he's setting 15s. And now he's 2 seconds clear of just Pidlin. Hoffman Crew telling us on the chat that the car won't turn. Well, there's one solution for that, man, is to pit and repair that car, because it doesn't look like it's turning at all. It's gonna be a dangerous spot, or yeah, it's gonna put you in a very dangerous position for you and the other drivers. So yeah, get that car to the pit as much as you can. And Maktosi's also spun, as I said that, and that is I don't know if that counts as a commentator's curse. That's the first time that driver and commentator have communicated throughout the race. And make sure there are no cars that are close behind you. If Maktosi's starting to to still lose time. He has one option and to pit for fresh tires and go for that fastest lap for that extra point. And Mark Webber with a 14.9 grabs that fastest lap so far. And he's still on that section, Hoffman Cruz. A little bit better than Bruce, but he'll buff out once it gets to the pits, hopefully. But Just Pillin still has a settle for second place, as he's trying everything he can, braking late and turning more earlier, but he's pushing. He is setting consistent 18-17s. And that is a penalty for Just Pillin, a 1 second penalty. That is for track limits. So he is trying everything he can. So a bit of a that is Hoffman crew in the middle of the track. Hopefully that's not he gets by through. Does Just Pillin get through him safely? Yes, he does. Hoffman crew in the middle of the corkscrew. Now he's off the track. And now it's less than a second. A bit of a decrease of gap there between Just Pillin and Mark has happened again. And all he has to hope for is that it keeps happening again and again. And hopefully the gap is much more smaller than it is. But all I'm hoping for is the battle between these two, because that's all the action we've been getting the entire race. Very hard car, very hard to drive these cars, as you're not feeling the grip at all in these cars. It's more aerodynamically stable, but you try to focus more on the mechanical grip and you'll lose the advantage that the aerodynamics have to offer for you, so you really have to focus on its aerodynamics more. But also more on the mechanical stuff, because that you need that to turn and you need that to keep the car stable. But at the same time you have all that aero part keeping the car on the road and making it faster and pushing it towards the ground. But what's dangerous is that what'll happen if those advantages suddenly disappear and the car steps out on you suddenly when you're behind another car. What is called dirty air, as when you're on the draft and the straight, there's a big hole that's being pushed between you and the car in front. As there's a big air hole that's being pushed, and it gives you, a mile-an-hour speed advantage, or more than that. Hoffman crew tells us he's hit the pit road wall, and keep pushing to reverse, man. you're very close. And these two are much more closer than they've ever been. Hoffman crew finally takes the car to the pit and out of danger. And it's definitely not going to be fuel saving between these two, and hopefully it's going to be a move from Just Pillin for the lead, because this is the closest they've ever been, and he probably knows that Mark Webber's going to gap him again in this lap, as Just Pillin's finally set at 15s. And these guys are holding back and pushing, probably playing mind games with each other, but it's looking good so far. They're very close. Hopefully somewhere this lap is going to be a move. Very hard to pass. So looking at this battle for the lead, it's not too close for comfort, but he always seems to be falling back once he's on the corner before the corkscrew. He's good on board with just Pillin for a lap around him, as he's 3/10 behind. This will hopefully be a move. Coming to the back straight now, very close, tucked into the slipstream, early on the power as much as he can. A bit of wheel spin there, a bit of a moment there from just Pillin, but he's still close behind. Up to turn 1 now. You have to try to, and Mark Webber semi-defends that corner, and you have to try to brake early when you're behind another car, because that again, that hole, that air hole that you get when you're behind another car is still there when you're braking. And the aero push here is very present in that corner as well, losing a bit of time, especially in this corner, the way the corner's angle is cambered. So he's gonna have a huge disadvantage here while Mark Webber is successfully carrying the speed. But he is pushing, he's still got the potential, and Mark Webber kicks up a lot of dust there for just Pillin to pick up in his radiators. And Hoffman crew tells us that he's having a 6-minute repair, but we're focusing on these two up in front, and he is pushing, but he doesn't want to push too hard, and these guys know that better than I do, and I tend to push every lap and tend to crash anyway, and that's the curse of these cars. You cannot push every lap, but he is have to focus on the exit. He gets it across the green stuff, and that's going to be a potential for a slowdown penalty. He might not care because he doesn't want to lose more time than Mark Webber, who's going to be pulling away from him once and again, Mark Webber's pulling away from him, and that has got to be another penalty for just pulling none so far. That's still going to be 1 second, but 10 minutes left to go. If he has to pass it, he has to do it as soon as possible. He's still half a second behind. Toasty on his own so far. 35 seconds adrift, but he's still on the lead lap. Maybe hoping for a crash between those two, but he's holding his own, and he's still looking for third in this race, which is good points to jump Muttley in the standings, who's not taking part. And Hoffman crew is finally out of the pits and got that thing running. That's looking on board now with Mark Webber coming to the corner 2 gears, down 2 gears. And you can see the advantage that he has trying to carry the speed on the exit on the right hand side. That there's a bit of a crest there in the exit, and he lost a bit of time there. Let's see if just Pillin will have to catch up there. Brake as late as he possibly can. It's dangerous to try to straight line in and break it through the dust there on the right hand side, because the car will definitely slip, unlike in the GTE where you can do that because the car is heavy. And he's 2/10 behind. Let's see if this will be a move for the lead. I don't know if Mark Webber's got a faster car in the straight, but he's gonna have to focus on the exit, on the power as much as he can, and it's tucked into the slipstream. Let's see if he moves to the inside or outside. He's close. He's close. Let's see if he does it. And he does. He's not close enough. Mark Webber has an extra speed advantage. He locks up. Let's see if just doesn't get a switchback, but he's wide. They're side by side. Just Pillin, Mark Webber side by side. Let's see. Mark Webber inside, he's going defensive for that corner, and these two are very close. That's the closest they've ever been in the entirety of the race. 7 minutes and 30 left to go, and he keeps out a bit of dust and just Pillin off the track, and he's gonna have to regain all that time that he gained on Mark Webber, and that is He's gonna have to work that up all over again. But that was very close indeed. Very close racing from these guys, and not what you expect from these cars from the way they handle. But these guys can handle it. That says a lot about the drivers in Flux. So a lot of work to do for just Pidlin. Again, less than a second behind. I don't know if Mark Webber's tires are going, but he's defended well from that. That's just Pidlin went off in his own, and that gap is went back down to less than a second, but not close enough. Let's see if he gets closer again. And Hoffman crew is a lapped car, hopefully to be lapped safely. And Mark Webber will definitely lose some time here because of the dirty air from Hoffman crew, and just Pidlin is close behind once again, and he'd better get out of the way from this time because he's losing time, and Hoffman crew goes, and Mark Webber also goes wide, and just that'll mean a move from just Pidlin. He's trying to go past, and oh, that is so very close, and he does get out of the way safely, but just that was a very scary moment from both of them. But just Pidlin is now closer than he ever was before. And he's reworked his way back up into the back of Mark Webber. You might have to get a bit closer to that apex there to gain more time, but hey, I'm not one to judge. I'm not racing here, but let's see if he tucks again to the slipstream. If he's gonna make the move. Looks as though he has more downforce, so that will not play a part into a move into turn 2, which turn 1 is that kink there they're going through right now. This is turn 2 or turn 3 or whatever. 5 minutes left to go and running. Mark Webber and just Pidlin are probably sweating from all the adrenaline that they've been experiencing the entirety of the race, and this is they've been at it for 45, almost 40 minutes straight, and this is gonna be the final few parts of the race where Mark Webber will definitely have to put the hammer down and try to gap him as much as he can, and just Pidlin will have to put the hammer down as well. He might be in a faster car because he's still gaining whilst in that dirty air. He's have to focus on this exit now. Tucked into the slipstream. Let's see if he has some sort of straight line advantage. He's getting closer, closer, closer. Let's see if he moves to the inside. No, he doesn't. Mark Webber goes defensive just a little bit, and that sets him offline. Mark Webber locks up, but just Pidlin is getting closer. But he's gonna lose more time once he gets to the fast right hand kink. After this, that one they're going up to right now. Hopefully, just Pidlin doesn't go wide through in the sand. He just keeps it between the white lines. Good. I imagine they're pushing their rev limiters to the limit, but these probably the tires are getting very worn at this stage. You're still setting 16s. As he kicks up a shit ton of sand there. Oh my god, I'm sorry, but two wheels off, one wheel off the ground there from these guys. Make sure not to get on the power once a wheel is off on the ground, because you lose a very significant grip, a portion of grip on the car. And this is the closest he's ever going to be towards the back straight. And he hits the wall. Just Pidlin's in the wall. The car wasn't underneath him. He got on the power, wheel spin, and that sent him into the pit wall. So that is the battle done between these two, and they are not gonna get any closer than that. With the damage just Pidlin's got is on the left hand side, that's gonna be suspension. All he has to do is cruise it home and really just settle for second place. But wow, what a race, and yeah, things are gonna stay where they are towards the end. And Mark Webber's definitely smart enough not to bin it at this stage. Coming up to Hoffman crew now in the lap car, who is 17 minutes behind. But that's the end of the battle between Mark Webber and Just Pidlin. Wow, what a fight that was. They gave it everything they had, but Just Pidlin tried to get a good exit out of there and wheel spin and put him into the wall. And that's again the danger of these cars is very wild. You never know when the very unlucky wheel spin is gonna happen. Very hard to anticipate it, but you know, he did everything he could. That's all I could say. And Mark Webber did everything he can to defend from that as well. And mind you, I'm sweating. I was sweating just from looking at that. But what a race. What a race. One more lap to navigate after this lap from Mark Webber. I sense a bunch of donuts, hopefully, because that's what I would do. And Mark Webber's easing the pace now, just because, you know, just because he's in the lead, he's got nothing else to lose. Well, he's got something to lose, and that is the lead if he bins it, but he's still gapping Just Pidlin with that huge amount of damage in the left-hand side. And Hoffman crewed the lap car there. Struggling to get back past him. So this is gonna be the final lap for Mark Webber, unless if he slows it down. He's flashing the lights at Hoffman crew, telling him to get out of the way. And McTosty's also gonna be a lap car just behind him. But Mark Webber's gonna be cruising him, cruising towards the end, and Hoffman crew tries to overtake Mark Webber. And almost crashes into him, and that is a wonky car, and it cuts him across, and Mark Webber he's gonna cruise it towards the end, I'm sure. You got so much to lose now. And that is the lead. Oh, he almost crashes into him. And Hoffman crew crashes himself, and then oh, don't want to do that, oops. But McTosty now in third place, settling for third place, and good run from him. Kept it on the track most of the time, and yeah, just not the race what he wanted, but he's still on the track, not retired, and that's good for him. Just Pidlin in second place. What a battle from what he had with Mark Webber. The only battle we've had, and Mark Webber again holding his nerve. And he's gonna come across the penultimate corner. Hopefully some donuts from him. If not, I'll be very disappointed. But final corner now, he's gonna clinch the win. McTosty in the pit entry there in the pit wall, and that is Mark Webber for the win. No donuts. I'm very disappointed, but that is him for the win in Laguna Seca. What a win that was as well. He won it on merit, defending from Just Pidlin, who fell behind and gained and fell behind and finally got into the back of him, got side by side a few times, and that was the race win. Just Pidlin in second place, and he threw the gauntlet in Mark Webber towards the end stages of the race, and McTosty now in third, Hoffman crew finishing in fourth, finishing the race regardless. And that is it for round 7 of the Flux Motorsport 2021 championship in the LMP2s. So your winner, Mark Webber, sets the fastest lap of the race with a 14.9. Second best for that is McTosty with a 15.1, but second best overall is Just Pidlin with a very good battle to Mark Webber up in front, and McTosty keeping his nerve and cruising at home to third place, which is good points in the standings. Hoffman crew in fourth, debut last place, but is in fourth, so very good points for all of them. but not good points for me as I've not participated in the race. So that is it for this race. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you like more of this stuff, well, hopefully there's better stuff in the other championships than this, because there's only 4 cars running. Check us out, fluxmotorsport.com, you'll find the rest there. I'm Taicho1212, your host for today, and I'll see you in the next race.